Welcome students, welcome to the second part of my video. Topic number 5, Good Governance, SYJC Acts. My dear students, before I start the video, I request you, if you like it, please do like the video. If you have not subscribed it, please do subscribe it. And also, if people are not aware of this video, please do give awareness by sharing more and more. Now, my dear students, in the first part, we have already seen what is a government and what should be the good government, or how shall the government work, and what is the role of every citizen. And all this we have seen in the first part. Now, I would like you to go further, and in the second part we will see what are the other things required for the government so that it should be a good governance. We have seen already in the first part about the initiative of the good governance. It should be citizen-centric administration in India. And we saw second Administrative Reform Commission. Further, we will see in particular the secondary or the second Administrative Reform Commission looked at the following issues to revamp traditional public administration. One is accountability and transparent government. The focus was creating a system of accountability, that the government should be accountable to the people, transparency in administration. Whatever the decisions they take, it should be visible to all the citizens. So, now why this accountability and transparency should be there? So that there should always or also a need to avoid delay in the service provided to the people. If there is accountability and transparency, the decisions will be quick and the service could be provided to the people. To make administration more result oriented, we are always having a complaint, that the administration is not okay. If we want to make a ration card, you require to give 1,000 rupees to right from peon to the officers. So, in order to make the administration more result oriented, various administration process are now simplified and made user friendly. And so, because it is made user friendly, we can see the e-governance. You need not go to the municipal office to register yourself if you are an eligible voter. If you are a PAN card, if you want a PAN card directly through online, you can apply for PAN card. If you want Aadhaar card, even that, you can apply. Then, third one, citizen-centric administration, to ensure greater involvement of the people in respective or in representatives and community at large, reforms that aimed in changing public administration in India. There have been a large number of reforms, measures which have been sought out to bring administration closer to the people. Broadly, these are the initiatives. First, enacting laws giving rights to the people. The laws are made where the people have been given rights. setting up new institutional mechanism to redress the citizens' grievance. Like one of the thing I will say is consumer court. Consumers were the people who were exploited. Now consumer courts are there. One of the example I would like to give. Third one, improving accessibility to citizens by setting up units closer to the people. Like the right to information. You can go to your local office and ask for information. Simplifying the procedure to reduce bureaucratic delays. Again, right to information. Using technology to improve internal efficiency. We can use e-governance. We can use our internet, online facilities. Rewarding government employees who perform well. But the government employees who are honest, who are doing their work efficiently, are rewarded. Improving discipline within the organization. Reducing regulatory controls. Holding public contact programs, etc. So these are the programs which are made where how the people could be involved in the administration. Now let us discuss some specific programs which aimed at bringing good governance. Lokpal and Lok Ayukta. Lokpal or Lok Ayukt Act 2013 came into force in 2014. It provides an establishment of a body of Lokpal for the union and Lok Ayukt for the states. Lokpal for the union, center, and Lok Ayukt for the states. This office would inquire into allegations of the corruption against public functionaries. It shows government commitment to clean and responsive governance. The concept of Lokpal was taken from Sweden. The office is called, it has been taken from Sweden, and the typical duties are to investigate complaints against the government officials and to attempt to resolve them. The state of Maharashtra was the first pioneer state in India to introduce the concept of Lok Ayukta. The Maharashtra Lok Ayukt institution came into being in 1972. Lok Ayukt can investigate allegations or grievances arising out of the conduct of the public servants, including political executives, legislatures, officers, and the state government, local bodies, public enterprises, and other instrumentalists of the government. A member of the public can file a specific allegation with Lok Ayukt against any public servant for inquiry. The Lok Ayukt can also initiate suo motu inquiry into the conduct of the public servant. The Government of India appointed Pinaki Chandra Ghosh as the first Lokpal in 2019. Second, citizens charters. Citizen charters is based on the premise that the citizen is a king. And always we should not forget that we are the king. And the government organization is here to serve the citizens. In order to ensure that both the services provided as well as the citizens realize the public agencies are meant to provide service, such organization should spell out services it should improve or should perform and specify the standard norms for these services. Once it is done, then the organization can hold accountable if the service standard are not met. The Government of India committed or commenced an exercise to formulate Citizen Charter in 1996. Now, my dear students, we all are familiar with e-governance. First, I will say it in a simple word. What is this e-governance? E-governance is something where through online we are getting services by sitting at home. We need not go it manually. And e-governance is much more faster than the manual system. Now, my dear students, we will see what is e-governance. Revolution in the information and communication technology has a potential of elevating the governance process to a new level. That is the reason why the countries around the world are increasingly opting for e-governance. Governance has become more complex and varied in the last few decades. Citizens' expectation from the government has increased manifold. Information, communication and technology facilities, efficient storing and retrieval of data, transmission of information, processing information and data faster than earlier manual system. This helps in speeding up governmental processes, taking decisions, and working judiciously, increasing transparency, enforcing accountability. It helps in increasing the reach of the government, both geographically and demographically. Over the year, large number of initiatives have been undertaken by the state government and central ministries to bring in the era of e-government. Efforts have been made, several to improve delivery of public service, simplify the process of accessing them, e-governance, and the government departments. And to such initiative, the governance such as citizen-centric city service orientation and transparency. The objective of the National E-Governance Plan of the Government of India is bringing public service closer home to citizens. This is to be achieved by building a countrywide infrastructure reaching down to the remote villages, large scale of disintegration of records enabled to easy, reliable access over internet. Today, applications for birth certificate, death certificate, PAN card, even passport can be done online. This has brought administration closer to the people. Right to information. Now, my dear students, this is something which we all should be aware of. My dear students, right to information is one of the most important aspects of good governance. It provides access to the information about the government to the public, and the people should be involved actively in the good governance. Not only people should be involved in the good governance, but also we can find transparency. Everything is transparent and it is easily visible to the people. In a fundamental sense, right to information is the basic necessity of the good governance. And the Right to Information Act in 2005 enables citizens to seek important public information from the government. The fifth is citizens' participation. Now, my dear students, it is very easy. You sit back at home and start complaining. Government is not working properly. The state government is not doing it. Municipality is not working properly. But what are we doing? Citizens' participation is a must in the governance. So, citizen participation in the governance is seen or contributing towards healthy democracy. It enhances and improves our traditional form of representation, democracy, to transform into responsive and participative democracy. All the above programs ensure that the citizens' participation in governance. Citizens are not to be considered as a recipient of the development, but also participation in the development process. It is essential a bottom-up approach and to top-down approach. It refers to the modalities by which the citizens can influence and take control over resources and decision making about the development. It accepts that the citizens have legitimate right in making decisions about their future. There are 6 pillars in achieving e-governance. Which are those 6 pillars? Please see. The first one, policy legal framework. Capacity building framework. Third, funding framework. Fourth, institutional framework. Fifth, core governance, common infrastructure. And the sixth one, common statewide projects. These are the 6 pillars of e-governance. Now, my dear students, we will now see further special institutional mechanism. Before I go to special institutional mechanism, we need to know what is this special institutional mechanism. There are few organizations who are here to safeguard the political rights of the people, who are there as a governmental agencies, who are there to look after and safeguard the rights of the citizen, because we are citizen-centric governance. And in order to take the benefit of it, the citizen should be participatory. It should be citizen participatory. Now we will see one by one which are the special institution mechanism. One is National Commission for Scheduled Caste, deals with related to safeguard provide under Constitution. It requires specific complaints relating to deprivation of rights of scheduled caste community. Scheduled tribes, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, deals related to safeguard safeguard provided under the Constitution and requires specific complaints relating to deprivation of the rights of scheduled tribe community. Human Rights Commission, it deals with the protection of the rights relating to the life of liberty, equality, dignity guaranteed by the Constitution. If any human rights are violated, we can go to Human Rights Commission. National Commission for Women, this facility is for the women who have been deprived of their rights, right to education, right to property. And this was created to facilitate redressal and the grievance accelerated to social economic development of women. National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights, it seeks to protect, promote, defend child rights in the country. The Commission defines a child as a person who is between the age of 0 to 18 years of age group. Then, National Commission for Backward Classes, the focus welfare on the socially, economically backward classes. The National Commission for Minorities, minority is working for the safeguard, it is working for monitoring and the working on the safeguard of the minorities provided in the Constitution and also law enacted by the Parliament and by the state legislature. National Consumer Dispute and Redressal Commission, this I have already told, that it provides for the consumers dispute redressal mechanism. Now with this, we come to a conclusion saying that the Indian Constitution has laid down the framework of good governance to fundamental rights, directive principles of state policies. Based on this, the government has tried to develop institutional framework for good governance. The core of the good governance is citizen-centric and approach to administration. It creates an environment wherein all classes of people can develop to their full potential. A responsible, accountable, sustainable, and efficient administration of the country is what India seeks to achieve. So, my dear students, thank you very much for the patient hearing. If you like the video, please do like it. If you have not subscribed it, please subscribe it. And also share it with others who are not aware of this video. Thank you, and I wish you all the best for your examination.